Hey everyone, my name's Augie, and today I'm going to talk about my musical endeavors, my guitar
So,
playing.
okay. So where do you get your inspiration from when you're writing new songs or when you're playing? Like, what does it come from?
Let's see. So when I'm writing my new songs, I don't know. I've always thought of landscapes, if that makes any sense. Like being in the desert, all surrounded by like tumbleweeds and stuff. I don't know if that makes any sense. A lot of my songs just feel really deserty and like very vague and almost like movie cinematic. Um, that kind of song. So I guess that's most of it. Or um, I dwell in the past a lot, and for some reason, there's always a longing that comes through in my music. At least I think. So I think that's part of it. I don't have anything like specific that I think about, or maybe breakups, but those are. That's so cliche. I didn't want to give that as an answer. So.
I think that's super valid though. Like when I write poetry, that's my go-to. So it's like, very artistic.
It's the
Uh,
most universal songwriting process.
exactly.
So, but yeah, landscapes.
Landscapes. Okay. And you've only been in California for a little while. So did you write about other stuff beforehand, or did you only really start writing stuff recently?
Um, I only started writing recently. So since I moved here, well, I wrote a little bit when I was in France, but that was also landscape inspired. So, but the crux of my writing has been in the last 2 years. So yeah, it's relatively new.
So were the French landscapes that you thought about different?
No, I always thought about the American landscapes. It was never. I was like, I never went to the French landscapes. They're not as pretty, maybe the Alps or something like that. But it was always a deserty feel. So I'd always just migrate to California
That's
landscapes.
so interesting. So, when you were a kid, did you know that you wanted to be a musician? Because I know you studied science beforehand.
Um, I yeah, at some point I wanted. I remember when I was probably like 5 or something. I was like, I wanted to be the Beatles, whatever that meant. I wanted to be the Beatles, all four of them at once. Yeah, I've always at some point wanted to do something musical, and I guess it focused more into guitar as I discovered it later. Because don't trust 5-year-old Augie. So, yeah.
That's awesome. And how did you find your way to the blues?
I still don't really. Well, I do know, but it's weird because I was raised in Lyon, France, which is a pretty specific area, and it's strange to think that specifically Texas blues found its way all the way over to France, specifically Lyon. But my guitar teacher at the time just introduced me to one of Stevie Ray Vaughan's songs, and who's my guitar hero. And at first, I was like, I hate this song. I was into Green Day at the time, and I was like, I don't want. I'm into punk rock, and I'm a rebellious little teenager, not even teenager. I think I was like 11 or something. And like, I don't want to learn this, but for some reason, something clicked in my head or something. I had to like learn the solo or something, and I just fell in love with it. And I really don't know why, but something happened, and that's how I was to it. Right, and then since then, it's rest is history. That's what I've been doing.
So amazing. Yeah, I definitely remember when I was like a kid taking piano lessons, I was like, I only want to play the Beatles and I don't want to play like scales or like this old like dead white man shit, even though the Beatles were also like half dead white men. But anyways, um, I that's it is really interesting like what we kind of like latch onto when we're younger and how that kind of makes its way into our art practices or music practices later on. Um,
This, yeah, and most. I mean, I feel like I wonder if that stuff could ever happen today, because when you're that young, you're still being molded, and it's easier for your mind to like adapt to things. And now, I'm 25. I don't know if I can do the same thing. Maybe, I don't know. It's interesting to think about.
Definitely.
But,
Yeah, I
yeah.
find like personally all of my work has something to do with like I mean my kind of thing is like making people happy or like laugh or whatever, and a lot of that is like finding nostalgic stuff from when I was a kid and bright colors and whatnot. Um but yeah, I really just don't know how the mind works and how it picks the things it enjoys. So it's always interesting to hear like different people's inspirations and how they started doing what
Neuro-
they're doing.
Neuroscience.
Exactly.
Yeah, what is it's weird, but hey, human.
So do you
It
have
makes us.
any um do you have any like plans for music in the long term, or like you're doing solo stuff but you're also still collaborating with other people? Is there like a different process when you're working alone or with other people?
I guess so. So I'm actually starting our second album with the band I'm part of. So we actually just started a few days ago. That is a different process in that I have a lot less creativity. A lot less creative control because there's a band leader who does most of the songwriting. Although I do put my input in this, and the songs are getting more bluesy, I should say. But that one is just like he has a song idea, sends it to me, and I do some recording, send it back. And he's like, I don't like that, sends it back. I'll be like, okay, this way. Most of the time that doesn't happen. He'll usually like what I do. So it's very much a back and forth kind of thing. So that's the new thing that's happening right now. I'm also working with another songwriter. That's more like country music. We're actually supposed to go to Vegas in a few days. I don't know if that's going to happen, but the plan is to go to Vegas and record. She has an EP coming out that she wants to record, so I'm helping her with that. So that's going to be fun. And otherwise, I have an album that I've been working on, but I've been working on it for the past 2-3 months, and I always stretch things out way too long. So I have all the songs like written, but I have half of them recorded, and I'm thinking of re-recording some. It's always like a typical artist who can't focus kind of thing, you know. So
I think the more things like marinate and like the more refined they get, I think that's also like 2 to 3 months is not a long time to be working on something. Like
sometimes like really like leaving it. Sometimes you can just do it way too much and you're like, I can't. It's like you just get tired of it. And sometimes you need, I don't know, half a year, and then you come back to it and you're like, oh, fresh eyes, fresh ears rather. And yeah, it helps sometimes. Or not, or you just leave the songs and then you never come back to them. No.
Have you found like your personal sound like changing over the last few years? Like if you listen to some of your older stuff?
I think so. I've definitely become more mature and like more understanding of what a song should involve or how to go about writing it, if that makes any sense. But in some ways, I'm very much the same. That's a tough question. In terms of my guitar, like stylistically, my playing, it has changed and it has evolved, and it's always evolving, and that's the fun part. Songwriting wise, I don't think I've actually done enough to notice a change, but there has been. Sorry, I'm giving you like a two-way answer here. Guitar, I play like hours every day, so I can tell that there's some kind of evolution going on.
How would you describe it to people like me who don't know anything about guitar playing?
Okay, so at first, like 5 years ago or 6-7 years ago, it was very much a blend of like my influences, and now I can really tell that there's a lot of just me coming out, which is awesome as a guitar player, at least, or I guess as any musician or artist, to see your own style come out. Yeah. So I've noticed that more and more, and so that's really cool to notice. And there's still times, when I'm playing and improvising or whatever, I'll be like, oh, I'm playing this person, oh, I'm playing this person, and then I'll be, oh, I'm playing me.
Oh my god, that's really cool.
Yeah, that's cool. So that's the part. I have a better answer for that than my guitar.
And do you have any, I guess as a last question, what are your wishes for your future in music for yourself?
My wishes for myself? Oh, I feel like gaining a lot more confidence and being able to push myself more and perform more. Although, of course, it's the wrong time to do all that stuff. But I feel this is something to take advantage of the situation that we're in. And I would want to see myself being more confident about that stuff and putting myself forward more, because I'm always very reserved and I don't like we just talked about, I don't like really advertising my music or talking about what I do, or I'm at least not very comfortable doing it. And I want to see more like, all right, yeah, this is what I do, and I don't care what people think, and I know I'm good. So yeah, that's what I want to do more of.
That's awesome. And then that makes me just appreciate this conversation all the more for you to be able to like talk about these things and relate to them. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for asking, bringing it out of me, because I wouldn't divulge it otherwise.
That's great.